New allegations of sexual abuse against the late Mohammed Al-Fayed. The focus is now turning to Harrods, the company he once owned.
As we know, the grooming, sexual assaults and threatening behaviour were varied and plentiful, but they all followed a similar pattern of events that we have been able to identify.
More than 20 former employees, including 3 Canadian women, have come forward. Stuart Rudner is an employment lawyer. He's joining us to explain how these claims will be defended now that Al-Fayed is deceased. Welcome to your morning.
Great. Thanks for having me on, Anne-Marie.
So, first of all, set up first, what are the challenges in presenting this case in court when the accused is dead?
Yeah, I'll start like a typical lawyer by giving you a caveat, which is that I can't comment on the laws in the UK or US, but I'll talk about how it would work in Canada. And the good news is that it really does not impede the complainant's ability to bring forward their claim. You know, the reality is that the claim is going to be against Harrods. It might be against if Mr. Al-Fayed was still alive, he might be a co-defendant, but the primary target would be the company. And in this case, the complainants can bring forward their claim. They can put forward their evidence. If anything, it might make it more difficult for Harrods to defend since their primary witness is no longer here. But that doesn't in any way prevent them from bringing this claim forward and pursuing it in court.
What then would be some of the evidences that were used by either Harrods then to defend themselves or by the accused when you have the accused is no longer living, no longer with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to remember this is not a criminal trial. This would be a civil claim. So first of all, the burden of proof is a balance of probabilities, not beyond a reasonable doubt. So we would hear evidence presumably from the complainants, perhaps from other witnesses who may have seen things or heard things. But it also, because it's often an issue of credibility, it often comes down to other documentation. If there are emails, text messages, even if people swipe their pass cards as they entered into the room, you can prove who was where and when. That may well help. So there are things that they can do. And from Harrods' perspective, they're going to want to show that they did everything possible to prevent this type of thing. And we see this a lot in our firm where we see allegations, not often as horrific as this, but we still do see a lot of allegations of sexual assault, sexual harassment in the workplace. And often it comes down to, he said, she said, but we have evidence that this person was not where they are accused of being, or we have evidence that they were in the office when she says that they were, which disproves their defense. So it can come down to a lot of circumstantial evidence as well. The reality as well, though, although this would be a very high-profile trial, most of these claims do settle at some point, and it depends, the strength of the evidence will determine the nature of the settlement. So it's quite possible there will be a settlement at some point.
Does the case, although it is a civil case, does it change at all given the fact that there are victims globally? You've got America, Canada, and the UK all represented as part of those claiming sexual assault against Al-Fayed and Harrods.
Yeah, I mean, the way that this can change is that, part of Harrods' defense, presumably, is that they're going to say that if these things happened, which, of course, they're presumably going to deny, they're going to say that they did everything they could to prevent them and they were unaware of it. And that's, when we work with companies that have allegations along these lines, they will try to show that they had policies in place, they had procedures in place, there was training involved, and anytime there was not only a complaint, but even a suggestion of inappropriate behavior, they investigated. And that's the test in Canada. You can't wait until there's a complaint. Even if you have some reason to believe that there was some sort of harassment, you must investigate. So if Harrods could show that they really dealt with anything that they were aware of properly and had no reason to be aware of what actually happened, then they could be able to avoid liability. But given, and I'll stress it, so far we've heard allegations, but given the nature of the allegations and the suggestions that this was fairly well known and that there were efforts made to cover it up, it sounds like that might be hard for them to prove. And the fact that there are claims in other countries with so many people making the same allegations, it may certainly help to disprove the notion that Harrods was innocent and had no idea what was going on.
Stuart Rudner, thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.